My name is Dontez Lindsay. I am the General Manager of Dux Trading LLC, as well as the Lead Trainer of StockCraft. I'm not a financial advisor, nor a CPA, and the content I create is for entertainment and educational purposes only. I trade in my account, and everything I do is hypothetical in nature because it doesn't happen in your account. My experience with trading is not typical, nor does it guarantee that similar results will be obtained by you. I am merely sharing my opinion with no guarantee of gains or losses in investments. Remember, day trading can be extremely risky. You should be prepared to lose all the funds that you use for day trading. In particular, you should not fund day trading activities with retirement savings, student loans, second mortgages, emergency funds, funds set aside for purposes such as education or home ownership, or funds required to meet your living expenses. Further, certain evidence indicates that investments less than $50,000 will significantly impair the ability of a day trader to make a profit. Of course, an investment of $50,000 or more will no way guarantee a success. With that out of the way, let's get into the content.
Good morning, guys. All right, so I see a lot of tickers up today. I'm still trying to go through them a little bit, but for now, it's two. I'm not going to say anything's a play right now, but I kind of see some opportunities on stuff that was going on yesterday. But one of them's a micro float. And so that kind of puts it on like less priority for me, just because I know that, you know, whatever resistance that was created yesterday, even though this clearly looks like a overextended gap down kind of setup, it's still, there's still room for me to, you know, borrow later and then use this as like a resistance. But I kind of put PLRX over KSPN, and then there's another ticker that's up right now. GOEV.
Market is open.
Yeah, just put it over here. Yeah, but we had a lot of moves yesterday. GOEV. Now I really like this because not only is it fresh, it's not just like piggybacking off of the day before. But I don't even know what like fundamentals this has yet, so I'm gonna check it out. Okay, that's actually a big market cap. So since they have plenty of shares, I actually don't have to rush into that. Good morning. Yeah, but the only thing I borrowed so far is PLRX. Even though both of those are, you know, large enough. Section that like extremely large, but I'm kind of confused why they're only $1. Testing. Warning. Okay, cool. Like when I saw those dots, I was confused. But what do you call it? PLRX I kind of want to use this as a, like, it wouldn't be a first red day, but like overextended gap down. Like yesterday on SRG, that was the same kind of, like, there's overextension and there's something above it that you can use, but I'm still not, feeling confident about it, especially PLRX, because the whole reason I wanted to go long on this in the morning was because there is no overhead resistance, and then we created a top. Then it went higher in the after hours, which, it went down overnight, but there's no consolidation actually. What do I say? Only thing we have is a pre-market like consolidation as a top, and that's still not enough to blindly go in. In terms of just price action in general, KSPN, it definitely looks better, but KLRX is still a $20 stock, and it's overextended like by 200%. So like I can't confidently say, oh, this is a second green day, or this is, etc. So I kind of want to just put everything on GOEV for now, and just see what happens on PLRX, because the volume on KSPN, it hasn't even reached 1 million yet. PLRX is it's in the same boat. I think a lot of people have moved on. And we got 2 tickers. Oh no, okay, that's just the warrant. I want to check out this HSSTO. No, this isn't getting volume. HST. We went deep. Oh, okay. We spread over $5. Still a resistance. HSTO. 6 million volume. It's actually pretty slow right now. As the extension. See what the bars are. Just TO. Letting GOEV do its thing. Because it might be a repeat of yesterday. A gap up short, purely entry based off of overextension. Yeah, but it doesn't actually look like there's something for me to focus on for right now. All we know is KSPN and PLRX doesn't have enough volume to actually make a move, and the fundamentals kind of make it not ideal when it comes to using whatever previous actions as a resistance, even if the volume to resistance ratio is there, and we do have that overextension on the chart. So I'm gonna just pretty much take these off, just so I don't get distracted. I'll definitely look at it and be like, oh, I must be forgetting something. Yesterday, how'd everybody do? It was a little tricky. I got a little lucky. I'm glad I, covered. I had some regrets about covering too, until I saw what happened afterwards. On PLRX. This $5. Yeah. Two. Word to me.
Executed.
HSTO and INDO were good, bounced short pre-market. Yeah, I saw the 80 million. I think it was 80 million. Yeah, the 80 million on SSTO, but INDO. I didn't know that was up. That's also something I need to put up right now. Uh, hmm. Clearly. Oh, yeah, I wouldn't put INDO as like one of my favorites, but I could definitely see some kind of resistance to short off of. HSTO, that would have been the play for me. It almost hit $6. Like clear 100% overextension bounce short. Like that's pretty much ideal right there. That's a gap plus a bounce. And it's a gap plus a bounce, but not a gap plus bounce. Yeah. Just started it. Now, the resistance on HSTO, that goes to 5. Yeah, that goes to 5 on the daily candle, and it's spread over $4. Went up to 6 before it actually activated the resistance. My cover point would be pretty much 4.42, and I already went a little past that. Like my max reward. Would look something like 368, but I'd only be able to three. I'd be only, okay getting away with like $4. Because everything after that point, if it was potentially like overshorted in the pre-market, which I kind of doubt it unless people had HSTO on their watch list from, what is this, like April, which I kind of doubt it. Yeah. I just wish I actually wasn't as restless in my sleep last night, so I can get up a little earlier. Yeah, but main thing is, I think the max reward on this is it already happened, so there is no like FOMO for me to like go in there chasing. But GOEV still has that. It just pulled back 10%. This still has a chance to, push up a little bit more. And, the borrows are cheap enough for me to wait a little bit. A little sad that PLRX, well, there's nothing really actually wrong with that, except it didn't have like any volume, which is kind of okay, but I don't know. I'm already tired, so one of my rules is not to trade. If I really want to trade in the first place, or I really want to trade still. I made $6 yesterday. Still counts as a win. Hey, that is green. There's a lot of people that didn't make money yesterday because it was crazy. A lot of late day price actions. I got lucky because I took a break, like did my morning thing. Didn't like the way things were turning out. Got out, came back in. I told myself before I even went in on like any of the tickers today, I'm only trading twice. I broke my rules and I traded like 5 times. But 2 of those were like $50 moves, like $50 like $50 green here, green there, just because I was looking for trying to time that one big crack. And then as soon as I see that pull didn't happen, it wasn't what I wanted. It was easy for me to cover. HST. Yeah. Where's all the volume? GOEV. Yeah. All right, this actually cracked. Oh, well, it's still only 10% dollar. Two 110%. Yeah, but going back to like yesterday, I'll pull up my trade review outline thing. So yesterday, we had TBLT. It was a bound short. SRG. It was overextended gap down, in my opinion. Showed characteristics of an overextended gap down. It wasn't ideal, but I still call it that. PLRX was a gap up short. It was a gap up short without consistent resistance, so that kind of falls more into, a first green day. But it was still a gap up short because, it created its own like topping actions, and it definitely had a lot of overextension that deserved a pullback. We got our pullback, and then it filled in the late day into the after hours. KSPN, that was a micro float, and I think it was a biotech too. Yeah, this was actually not biotech. This was biotech. Yeah. The other one was a biotech. This is a technology sector, but main thing is it was a micro float, and it snuck up in the middle of the day on me, and took all the volume. And yeah, since it didn't happen in the morning, I can't call it a gap up short. Yeah, since it didn't happen like directly in the morning, I can't really call it a gap up short. It was more of most of its extension breached into like the late day. And by that point, it was already, really hard to beat it down. And so it was on its way to being, more of a first green day. And, this equals the second green day because now it's going up to that 7. And the reason I'm not feeling like, FOMO to just rush over there to try to trade it, but I still want to keep watching it, is because it's still a micro float. And, when you have a resistance that low, I see Steven over there trying to trade it right now. He went in at 6.5, risking 7.4. So pretty much risking the high of yesterday. The micro float on, the micro float, when you try to trade something on the second green day, you can definitely trade something on a second green day, but it has less chances of actually working the lower the float, because the float is the supply, and then most of the supply is already like dry, and you only can have a fixed amount of people at a single like dollar level. And having a really small supply, those bag holders, they're under 1 million because it's a micro float. Like in this case, it only has 1.2, and outstanding has 2.5. So we know these penny stocks are trash, and some of the shares are overused multiple times. But it still means that we only could potentially have up to 1 million at a single resistance level. And if you don't have any kind of, push into that resistance, it's really hard to not get nervous. KSPN. Get nervous, trading into that. And so if this was anything less than I want to say 11%, you pretty sure it's 11%. You wouldn't want to just go into that trade. There definitely has to be a pullback. How do I can just bring up a chart. Yeah, but before I do that, I kind of want to trade. I don't need a T. I really want to do this, but I also know that I can't actually hold this the whole time. Not with that attitude. Sorry. Goes to that. So right now, the only thing I really can trade, since all the take this one off. Okay. The only one I can trade right now would be GOEV. If this goes, back up a little bit, but I'm still kind of just content with watching this. I spent like $20 on borrows, like 17 for Geo EV, and like 50 cents or something for like PLX. Yeah, it's about $20. Yeah, $5. My thing is KSPN. Still don't trust it. And I'm pretty sure Steven just took a small paper cut on that. It says shorted very small, risk 7.4, coverage 7.2. Volume is too thin for now. Yep. But the amount of push I was talking about before, I want to show you an example of what I'm talking about. And this works fine. So like when it comes to gap up shorts, there's several types, and some of them, they have a like price action where it just goes up, and then at the open it continues to go up. Like this is normal Ducks Trading LLC kind of things. My favorite type when it comes to trading these kind of plays are the ones that have a pre-market top, like something that everyone acknowledges, and it's almost obvious that there's going to be a selling pressure that happens there. That's a type 2 for me. When it comes to whether the dip happens in the aftermarket or the pre-market, that's a big sign of whether you can get more people like behind your short. And so, if I remember right, I think Steven's favorite was something like type 4, where, it failed really early in the pre-market, kind of similar to HSTO, but we know this one's actually a bounce short. And then whatever support it found, it doubled. And then, it consolidated trying to break that top, because, once you make a certain amount of extension, it has so much momentum behind it that people are trying to break whatever top that was created. And so it all comes back to like the strength of the pullback. When it comes to like KSPN, this has that, pullback all the way to $5. That's not like the half spike that, you kind of see in my note right here. And then it's also, you see there's this little detail right here where it has a little perk, and then it does that. That shows that this is something that can happen like midday, like early, like a little bit later in the morning. Main thing is you have to see that there's some kind of topping action, versus like with the type 2. This is something that how do you say it? It all just comes back to like early shorts getting squeezed, then like coming back down. But when it comes to micro floats, you don't want to start playing where'd the picture go? When it comes to micro floats, you don't want to start playing games with, you know, like going back and forth like that. Because if you get too much extension, a lot of people are going to realize that, you know, it has more upside than downside. And you don't actually have a resistance, especially if you're only working with like pre-market resistance. Even if it did trade like the entire day going sideways, the same amount of people that could potentially be trapped there, it's still the same because it's a micro float. Okay, I kind of like this. HSTO going back up. There's always going to be some kind of bouncing back and forth between the top plays in the market. GOEV soaked up way too much of the volume this morning, like 83 million in, you know, 34 minutes. That's ridiculous. That is straight, I want to say bonkers. I want to say stupid, but like that's not cool. Like that's way too much volume that you know, it's getting trapped up there. And so I'm not saying this is all a resistance, but this is definitely where all that volume is. And I still don't even know what the catalyst for that was. I didn't read it, but it's nothing that, you know, is like a headline that pops out at you. We are in earnings season, so this week also marks the start of the second earnings season. Oh no. Okay, they announced the deal Tuesday. Okay, so they have a deal with Walmart. Okay, yeah, they have a deal with Walmart. That's enough. Definitely get them moving. So again, that's more of like a contract winner, which can give you, you know, temporary hype. It's nothing fundamentally changed. So the amount of like sticky, what do I want to call that? Sticky gains that you can get on the day. It's not solidified, but it's definitely a lot of hype. Now it looks like the hype was only enough to get it up to 100%, or 110%. And we're only in the first 30 minutes. That's what's throwing me off. It's because like it just overloaded itself with all that volume in the beginning, and it's starved like KSPN and what was the other one? PLRX and HSTO. When did that news come out? Like what time? Okay, kind of looks like 6. 7. Still the 50. Even if this bounces, no guarantee that it's actually coming down. This is people shorting. Only thing that would make this worth shorting is if this went back up to like pretty much 5 where the distance is. I'm still back in the same boat. Nothing to trade. Where are you? Oh yeah. Over here. They got a deal with Walmart. Early shorts taking all the money. GOEV just dropped like a rock as soon as there was any weakness. At least we know we can go in when it does that lower high. Like probably like 460. If we consider this look at the 15-minute chart. If we consider this a panic, and say it started creating some kind of a support at 4 because of those early shorts covering. I said early shorts, early like longs covering. We could probably see some. Yeah, it goes back to like 460. If it bounces back up to there, I'd be willing to risk 40 cents to make, whatever crack it could make, probably like half up to like 350 by the end of the day. At that point, only thing I'd be risking is, this going just a tiny bit higher. So yeah, 40 cents. I can definitely make 40 cents going back down to 4. But yeah, the thing is, it has all that volume from this morning, so it would make me extremely confident to go in on this. If it goes back up to 460, probably doesn't even have to go to 460. Probably just 450. Yeah. But back to like HSTO, the resistance starts at like $5. And this went into $6 in the pre-market. The amount of people that like shorted during this time, they probably started their short around, probably thinking it was going to be something like yesterday where you don't even reach the resistance. So people were probably shorting around like 4 something. 80 million resistance is considered like a light resistance. And it's always good to have it with like extension. When it comes to like the minimum extension, like 50%, I try to cover around the 25% mark. But when you got 100% extension, that's where you can get away with to almost like 75. But I prefer getting about like 60%. Just trying to keep it consistent. And so in this case, I was looking for a hypothetical cover. That's the wrong one. Where are you? There you go. I was looking for a cover at 402, which is 36% above. Yeah, so the 66 is a 64. Yeah, 64% off the top. I forgot what I was about to say. Oh yeah. The the criteria for me to go back in on like HSTO, even though I didn't go in the first place. Since this is like a lot of extension going into a resistance, you have a lot more profit margin than we had with the 50% extension yesterday. I don't think that HSTO was heavily shorted enough to like create some kind of like major pullback up to the 5. So I don't really see a trade happening. It's probably just gonna go sideways for a while. The bounce short. Okay. Yeah, GOEV contract winner, meme stock. I remember. Did I ever bring up that picture? I want it. I hate having restless sleep. Like you get in bed on time, but you just start thinking and only get like 2 hours of sleep. Ridiculous. Oh, I remember. EBLT, that's what it was. Okay. Realize like, yeah, so I just want to see where this finished. I don't think I have a picture of that. As in this screenshot, this is my profits and trades from yesterday. Remember, I started this saying, "Oh, I'm only gonna trade 2 times." First day of the week, I already broke my rule. It wasn't a clear break, but still enough to build some guilt. How do I zoom in? Okay, that way. Pretty much the first trade was a long, and that was just because it didn't have resistance overhead. And then I liked the sector, and it was enough volume in the market, like in the pre-market, to where it wasn't crowded enough to where you're going to see that weird action like you saw on GOEV today, where it's too much volume actually trading to actually grow, and it's not too little for just steady liquidity to push the stock up. It was like that perfect amount between like 5 and 15 million. Like above 15 million, I feel like you're crowded. Below 5 million, I feel like you have really low amount of volume. And like that leads into other things you could potentially do. But right in that sweet spot around like 10 million in the pre-market, that's where, I think that's a heavy amount of volume. And when I saw that, I was just thinking this plus the other stuff with no resistance. Okay, this is something that's going to go far, and it's going to be a steady increase into the day. But I'm only trying to get like a little bit. That's why I went long. But TBLT, that was a bounce short. That bounce short had 200 million. Yeah, 200 million resistance. Like that went up to 4, but started at like 2.66, if I remember right. And we call it. I lost like $50 on that because I didn't actually short it when you were supposed to short it, which was actually in the pre-market when this went up to 3. I expected it during the intraday to go back up to that level. It didn't do that. When it comes to like those bounce shorts, looks like we're seeing a theme comparing like what happened today and like yesterday. It goes up in the pre-market. All those people that shorted in the pre-market, they're covered at that, the halfway point would be like 440. It always matters about like the extension, and that determines the profit margin that you can have. And so yesterday's extension was like 50%. Today it was 100%. So, this fell right at the 50% mark before, like it looks like it was exhausted and people were going to, start covering. There's a second entry point that happens when, a stock bounces, and, you can still keep going down. And that's where you can start getting to see those, 75% of whatever range gain at that point. I was trying to aim for that kind of move. I didn't see any kind of action, and I was having a risk of, I think it was like 15 cents to make another, like 15 cents, like a 101. Nothing was happening, and I saw other plays coming up, so I just ended up closing this once it pretty much broke even, which was down $50. Went back in on PLRX, but this time I was short. I tried to make enough time in between my long and short so I can have the right mindset shift, so I don't start, confusing myself, trying to long when I'm trying to short and short when I'm long. So that was cool. Each of them I made like a K. What do you call it? And you can see, that was a very early morning long. I definitely left some like profits on the table. Came in not actually shorting into strength, because remember, this didn't have like resistance. I did have an idea of going in at like 21, but pretty much just didn't have the stomach to do that. I wanted to create some kind of evidence of weakness in the top and things like that. It went back into like the crack that it made, and then that's where I went in for that like second entry, and then started building again on that second entry. It dumped. After that point, it went to the 30% mark, which I was aiming for 17.7. I covered around 18, like almost exactly at 18. Aiming for that like 17.7. Around that same time, I think it was KSPN. That's where I started like noticing this was picking up volume, and so I covered that. And I started playing in on KSPN because I saw this went up to like 7, and it came from 2, and I'm like, okay, this thing is up 180%. This isn't a gap up short, but it could be a first green day. That it's going into like the late day, because that's when this was. And I'm like, okay, this is already up like 180% extension. And I showed you guys my like gap up short / like chasing statistic zones and stuff, and that was one of them. So I was just like, okay, again, here's another 1-to-1. Volume is spread thin between like multiple tickers. I think I can use that as a, not a high odds short, but like enough odds for me to go in. And I went in. Funny thing is, when I went in and it came down, I told myself that I'm, again, not trying to be greedy, and I told myself, as soon as this goes to like 6.9, I'm gonna cover. It breaks the 7 after like dancing above it for a minute, and I cover as there's a big dump about like 10%, and instead of getting the potential in that like 10-second window, instead of getting the potential like 2K, I ended up only getting like 500 of it because I was too quick to pull the trigger. And that was mostly because I was just trying to reach my target, like being very quick with this. If I actually didn't just go in with like a big size in the first place,
I could have probably been a little bit more patient with that. But at the end of the day, I think KSPN went up. So I still came out green. That's all that really matters to me. But going in and out of trades like this, it definitely built up a lot of FOMO, a lot of guilt from not following my plan 100%. And then KSPN was like my last, like I have to do what I say, trade the plan kind of like action. I ended up going back in on PLRX because I was mad that I covered way too soon on KSPN. Because, you know, if you look at the share size on this, I went in 4,000. And, you know, I was trying to do things below 2,000 on each position. That went up like a little bit heavy. So, you know, this was not a revenge trade, but it was another one of those, you're over trading or you're about to go to that cliff before you start a bad habit. And that's where I just didn't even hold this one for more than a few seconds. It's gone. I said a few seconds, few minutes, because you know, I wasn't confident that this was actually going to stay down, especially because when I covered around that 17.7 mark, I almost went long. I thought I was being greedy until I saw, like, you know, a lot of people in the chat room were saying they were thinking something similar, and I didn't feel as bad, but I still felt greedy. Third time's over. At the end of the day, here's my takeaways in terms of like what it was, why I went in, and things like that. SRG, I called this an overextended gap down because, you know, it had an extension of about like 150. Then it gapped down within, I think it was like gapped down like 5% or something. And then came back up and then failed at the open. So just looking at it, it looked like a non-ideal, but still classified as overextended gap down. All right, let's see. I finally cut PLRX. Yeah, you held that the whole day, man. Like, almost took a 3K loss yesterday. Cut that down to just 410. Where is it? What did it end up at? Okay, good. Yeah, you're around like I think it was the same place I was, like 19.6. Like it, ooh. I'm glad you finally got it cut. I still remember all the quotes you were saying. Like, it's either me or it. Hold it. Hold and hope. No, I'm one to talk. Yeah, but this morning I was like, when I saw this, I was thinking about going in. I just knew it was a lot better than KSPN. Still surprised he didn't count it. He probably went really. And the thing is, he probably only went in because he probably missed HSTO, and so he's just like, ugh. But these are my guesses because it's the same kind of story for most traders. It's everything's connected. Like, you're not supposed to connect everything, but you also know it's still kind of connected. Because it's the same people trading these tickers. It's the same algos trading them. You just need to know preparation meets opportunity. And if you don't, prepare, you need to prepare to fail. If you fail to prepare, but you know where this goes. But remember what I said earlier. This goes back up. I kind of want to go back in because there's a lot of volume trapped there that was created this morning. So GOEV looks like the only one I want to touch for now, especially since it's like 10:30. I think a lot of people are, going to switch midday mode. Yeah, since it actually found that support, it traded 20 million. Yeah, that's 20 something minutes. Minutes ago. Fourth. 26.5. Probably using. Probably wants. All right, guys, it's 10:30. I just need to walk away, take a nap, and go back to doing the work I was doing. Yeah, I'd rather trade anything else today in the late day. But, good job, Angel. I'm glad you got out of your position. And, good luck with your discipline. And make sure if you do hire someone to help you with, yeah, I don't know anything appropriate to say. You'll do great. Do we need to get you a Venice from Wolf of Wall Street? I got greedy. I was shooting for 17.25, 17.75 area and got burned. No, I don't think you were that greedy. It was a nice setup. It was a 1-to-1, like 19. Yeah, I think it was like risking 21 to get 19. I said 19. You were at 19.5 and you're risking $1.50, which is 21. Then your reward was around like 17. And that was also $1, so it was a 1-to-1. And then that came from the idea that this went up to 22, it cracked, and then the middle of that crack was here. Then it showed a lot of like test at the 19 area, and 17 is 30% off the top. I think about half. It's one of those levels. So, yeah, I don't think you were being greedy. I think you were frustrated a little bit because I remember you were one of the few people that went in at 21 back when like I wanted to go in at 21, and then you covered, and then we chased together. The only reason I covered at 18, which was originally going to be 17.7. is because I was still thinking about the people that shorted here and where are they going to cover. And then that's where I thought they would cover. And I even like went out early at like 18 just because I'm not trying to get burned, because I know it's going to carry it to another trade, which it should. So ORMP. None of the top gamers. All right, guys, I'm out. Peace. I'm kind of curious though, because Muhammad always has the best things. See, told you he always has the best things. Like, why does this have so many green days? That is stupid. Look at that. Like, you didn't deserve to be on the TZ chart. Has to be on. That's just way too many green days. So think about what that could be. Like, even though I'll let that do its thing. The Green Day marathon started at 4. Now it's at 12. But it took it like over a week to do it. You know, it could potentially be a swing, multi-day kind of action. I don't even know what. I don't need all. Oh, it's pharmaceutical and it's a biotech. Okay. And I like these the like ratio between the float and volume. But what was the catalyst? About a week ago. Okay, change in management. So they appointed a new doctor. Remember, this is biotech. Okay, this must be a good doctor. But that's a fundamental change, though. That's you got a new doctor, and either she's a really good marketer or she's really good researcher, and they've already had some results. So I don't think this is actually shortable yet. But in terms of like overextension, it's very steady. We want more of these kind of days where it's almost like doubling. Main thing is I don't know where I would try to top unless this goes like, 300% extension on the daily, which it kind of is doing. But I want that to be within like 3 to 5 days, not a week. If we're talking about like a week, I'd rather look for something like 300% minimum. Like this one, it has, going from 4 to like 11, almost 12. That's adding on 200%. Biggest day is 17. Yeah, the volume's not there either. It's not steadily increasing. Yeah, I definitely keep it on my list, but I wouldn't size it big on this, even for a swing. Yeah, it's definitely something to watch. This could be a like first red day, and probably something at a drop, then come back into like an area like that. But I wouldn't rush into it. Definitely something I want to watch though. I'm going to put that here before, and then I'm gonna go eat and take a nap. ORMP. I'm waiting for a first red day or pre-red day. Yeah. I was trying to say that too. right now, if we go to it, I still kind of consider it like a first green day. Gonna be similar to like what happened on KSPN. I say KSPN. I mean PLRX. We don't know where the top is, and then it's not having that major overextension in one day. Like I'm talking about like 80%, 100%. It took a week for it to go over. What is it? About 170%. That's acceptable. But again, I'm gonna watch it. Now. In the meantime, peace out, guys. Be safe. See you guys tomorrow.